One of the reasons that imposter syndrome affects you so much is because you are operating in a silo. And that means that all those thoughts of self-doubt, of inadequacy, of I'm a fraud, those are just playing out over and over and over. And that's all you're hearing. And one of the things that you can do to combat that is to get out of the silo and find a community. In this video, I will share with you more about the value of community and how that can be crucial to you dealing with imposter syndrome in your career. Now, in case we haven't met yet, my name is Sarah Doody, and I'm a user experience designer and entrepreneur. And one of the things I do is run a program called the UX Portfolio Formula. Now, in all honesty, it's not just for UX people, but I haven't renamed it yet. But the program is all about helping you learn to mature as a professional, how to think a little more deeply, because our role is not just about knowing software and memorizing processes and terminology. It's really about being able to communicate not just what you did, but why you did it. Because when you can justify your design decisions, when you can truly explain your process, that makes you stand out. And that makes you do a better job in your current role, but also when you maybe go off to do interviews for the role you want to get next. So if you want to find out about that, you can check out the links below or head over to uxportfolioformula.com. But today I want to dive more into imposter syndrome and the value of community. So let me grab my slides and then we can jump right in. Okay, so finding a community. Why is this so crucial? The problem is that you're operating in a silo right now. And oftentimes we think to ourselves, we know a tiny bit of information. So we think we know this tiny little purple circle of information. And we think that other people know way more than us. And that feeds into our feelings of inadequacy and doubt and fear and incompetence and things like that. But what we often forget is this, that everyone else also thinks that they know this little circle of information and everyone else knows way more than them. So it's the same. It's just that we forget that other people have this problem too, because we get so obsessed with our inadequacy and the gap between what we know and what we think other people know. And this happens because we are stuck in a silo and we are not connecting or maybe authentically connecting with other people. You can kind of think of it like this. When you get out of the silo, amazing things can really, really happen. So when you're in the silo, it's kind of like this. You think that you have this low level of skill and ability and that everyone else has so much more, that they're so far ahead of you, they're so much smarter, they're so much more accomplished, etc., etc., etc. But when you find a community, when you step out of your silo, it kind of looks more like this, where you realize that we're all a little bit on the same path, let's say. Maybe some people are a little bit higher than you, maybe they're a few steps behind you, and you realize that by getting out of the silo, getting into a community, and having authentic conversations. And I think this is so, so crucial. I see this in communities that I am a part of related to entrepreneurship. I've really only been running my business I have a couple of businesses. One of them is kind of 2 years old, and then my consulting business is about 6 years old. But the current kind of online education company I run, that has been a high learning curve, and I couldn't have done it without some of the communities that I have been involved in, because it helped eliminate the imposter syndrome. And the conversations that happened in these communities made me realize a lot of things I hadn't learned yet. And that allowed me to squash that imposter syndrome and build this thing a lot faster than I imagined I could. The same holds true for you. When you can get away from this and find that community, you're able to decrease your imposter syndrome, those feelings of doubt, inadequacy, fear, etc., because you realize that you are experiencing what everyone else has experienced. And I see this daily in my community. I'll link to it below, but in my community for my course students, as well as kind of my general community. But some of the feedback I receive is that people realize they're not alone, that other people have the same fears, and that gives them the confidence that those feelings are not permanent, that they will minimize as you progress and as you get more experience. So I really encourage you, if you are not part of a community, find that community, find that peer group, find that camaraderie and conversation, authentic conversation that is necessary to make you realize that it is not like this. This is not reality. I guess it is the reality if you stay in your silo. But my hope is that you get out of the silo, find the community so you can have these conversations to make you realize you're not the only one who thinks these things. You're not crazy. It's not just you alone out there. And you can turn that fear into fuel to help you overcome those things or learn those new skills you need to have so that you can get to whatever that next level is for you. So just remember that there are strategic things we can do to deal with imposter syndrome. And I've covered a couple of those things in other videos, such as the idea of getting into a flow state faster and what specifically you can do, how to ditch comparison and why it is so toxic, and the value of a community. So if you're watching this first video about imposter syndrome, make sure to click the link below to hop over to the full playlist and find some other videos related to this as well. But for now, I would love to hear more about the community that you're in. Leave a comment and let me know what communities you have found valuable, because I'm always on the lookout for new ones that I can recommend to people. And let me know not just the community, but what about it has kind of helped you progress in your career, and how specifically has it helped you overcome feelings of imposter syndrome. So leave a comment below so we can continue this conversation, and I will talk to you in another video very soon. Thanks for watching.